It's June, it's hot, and it's just going to get hotter for a while. I don't think many of us were made to thrive in this kind of heat, but there are a few plants that do. It's likely by now your winter crops, like green peas, spinach, and potatoes, have played out and been harvested, and you might want something to grow in their place. The sooner you plant these things, the better, so they'll have time to grow. So, now to introduce you to plants that have an ideal germination temperature of about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. They can germinate when it's hotter or colder, but ideal is about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. First on the list is also one of my favorites, cantaloupe. It can germinate when the temperatures are 60 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, but their favorite is a hot 90 degrees. You can have a trellis for these viney plants, or let them crawl all over the ground, and they can spread out a lot, so best plant the rows at least 4 feet apart, especially if they don't have a trellis. Despite their love of the heat, cantaloupe leaves will often wilt in the hottest parts of the day. If they don't perk up when it's cooler, then they probably need more water. If you give them water sparingly right before harvest, the fruit tends to be sweeter. If you want to save the seeds for planting, don't make the same mistake I did and use the seeds from hybrid plants. You might not get anything edible. Another popular heat-loving plant is watermelon, and that has similar needs of a cantaloupe. However, it's harder to grow watermelon on trellises. Some people have by adding shelves. Greens are usually considered cold weather crops, but Malabar spinach does well in the heat. They are something of a viney plant and do better with a trellis. Cow or purple hull peas are another good choice for the heat and one of my favorites. I've spent plenty of hours on the porch shelling them. Okra likes the heat, but I don't like okra. There, I said it. Please don't take away my southern card. Remember, I shell purple hull peas on the porch. I just don't like fried okra. I admire okra for being tough. It can grow in humid or dry climates and withstand mild droughts. It might make a good survivalist food. I'd eat it if it were the last food on earth. Then there's sweet potatoes. Unlike regular potatoes, these sweeties handle the heat. Sweet potatoes are not a member of the nightshade family like regular potatoes. My favorite variety is the Murasaki sweet potato. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but it grows very well in my clay-filled soil. It's one of the few things that are a root crop that I can plant directly in the soil and it work okay. Other varieties usually rot during times of too much rain and heat, but I've never found these to have any rot. But if I have too much organic matter in the soil, they make more vines than they do sweet potatoes. They store pretty well too. This is one from last year, and it started to send up shoots. I can cut these shoots off and plant them this year. A lot of them started sending out shoots without being soaked in water or anything. So I'll just cut off that end part to plant, and I'll eat the rest. Hopefully I cut off enough they can keep growing. I'll soak them in water for a little while, then put them in the ground. If you keep them in the dark, they don't seem to send out shoots as much. Squash also likes to germinate at 90 degrees. Other things that tend to do well in the heat, though prefer a slightly cooler germination, include peppers, corn, and pumpkins. Now to talk about weeds. When it's hot and dry, you might have to stop pulling up the weeds when they're too close to the plants that you want to keep. True, it would be good to get rid of the weeds. They don't take moisture from your plants. But when you pull them up, you disturb the dirt, causing it to dry out faster. And you disturb and risk drying out the roots of the plants you want to keep. Consider the biblical parable in the second half of Matthew chapter 13, where the farmer says to let the wheat and tares grow together until harvest, because removing the tares might uproot the wheat. If you get a spell of rainy or cooler weather, then you might can go ahead and start pulling them up even when they're closer to your plants. Still better to do it with caution, and anytime you can just go along and break off the tops and try to at least keep them from going to seed, or maybe cut them down low with scissors. While it's better not to have weeds, they can do your plants some good. They surround your plants so insects and bunnies might eat the weeds instead. They're something for the bugs and the bunnies. Bugs Bunny. Never mind. They also help hold down the soil so it doesn't erode away. And during the heat, they might shade your plants and help keep the roots cooler. Now for some more good news about weeds. There are some plants that might naturally come up in your garden that you can eat. This is called purslane and is edible. It doesn't taste that great, but free food is free food. And this free food I didn't even have to plant or buy any seeds. It is okay tasting, as long as I don't try to eat a whole lot. And like most foods that don't taste great, these are very good for you. They are rich in omega-3, which is good for heart health. They are also a great source of vitamins like calcium minerals, magnesium, iron, copper, and others. These plants are very low in calories and high in fiber and antioxidants. This is a maypop, which also just comes up naturally in my area. It makes beautiful flowers called passion flowers, and they become edible fruit. I find them similar to pomegranates in that they are mostly seeds surrounded by juicy stuff. This is often called a Chinese lantern because it makes pods that looks kind of like lanterns. You can eat the fruit inside once the husk dries out and is mature, but it is a member of the nightshade family like tomatoes and potatoes. Leaves and unripened fruit are considered poisonous, although I doubt they're that poisonous because my goats have gotten them several times and been fine. Now, for a continuation of my May video. Here are my official garden pest control experts. Sadly, they don't take care of the stink bugs, but have mostly cleaned all the aphids off the green peas within a few weeks. The ladybugs are probably disappointed, but I'm sure there'll be more aphids somewhere. And now the chicks can take care of larger things, like grubworms and caterpillars, but they are still small enough to stay in the garden without hurting the plants. I'll leave them out there by themselves some now, but they love it when I'm in there weeding, uncovering all kinds of bugs for them to eat. I hope you are enjoying your harvest. Great gardening!